Today I'm going to talk about courage, and I feel like it's something that I am quite intimate with in how I live my life and how I move through the world. It's not an easy thing for me, courage. Was never meant to be easy. In fact, oftentimes courage is a substitute for the words not easy. All those things that are not necessarily easy for whatever reason, because of whatever tensions that live inside us, those things that hold us back. Some lineages speak about the chains that hold us back. Others speak about the stories that we hold that don't even allow us to touch what courage asks. Courage can be little. It can take place in the home, in the lounge room, in a conversation with your wife, in a exchange with someone you love that catalyzes the relationship into a deeper honesty, into a resting place of more humanity, more truth. So it can be simple, but it can also be great. It can also be large. It can also be legendary. And something like me walking the aisle, that's quite a great act, and heading into a rite of passage, a pilgrimage, and a declaration. Takes a lot of courage to meet that kind of legendary level of courage. And we all, over a lifetime, are invited to both meet the small courages and the great courages. The great courages, they will often fundamentally reshape who we are, and they'll leave a legacy in the field that is beyond our own lifetimes and beyond the idea of ourselves. So, the great courages will leave behind an echo that may not have any name associated with it. People might, with the walk I just did, people may not remember that, Matthew Gardner was the human who walked the spine, or whoever else it is that walks the spine or has walked the spine. The names don't matter at a legendary level. What matters is the echo they leave behind that essentially creates an invitation into greatness or invitation into great devotion for those who come next. So all of these courages, even though they seem different, we could talk about the small courages or the great courages, they all come back to the very same place, and they're all built out of this same architecture and this same idea. And that's the idea that there's things that we need that we don't want. And that's where courage lives. Meeting what is true, but isn't necessarily wanted. And the want comes from the ego. The want comes from the existing identity holding on to itself. So courage transforms us. Courage is a force of transformation. It actually fundamentally changes ourselves and the field around us, whether it's at a great level or at a micro level. Little courages and big courages, they all do the same thing, just to varying extents. And I'd love to see a world where we are courageous as individuals and together. Courageous in how we move, and also courageous in how we relate. Courageous in how we be as beings. When I speak into a courageous world, and when I speak into courageous relations, I'm speaking into a world and relationships that have tension in them. Courage is that tension. And if we don't meet our own life and our own relationships through the tension of courage, that tension will manifest in a different way. And it might manifest in our bodies. It might manifest cancerously. It might manifest as disharmony that's suppressed and becomes eventual relationship dissolving, destruction, exchanges that are violent or removed from love, or just a simple lifetime of separation. So the tension of courage is actually an alchemical force, and it is the force that leads us into love. The same way that when I was a 11, 12-year-old, I had growing pains. My knees would ache because my legs were growing at such an extraordinary rate. I didn't want my legs to ache, but the growth, the becoming myself, the growing into my mature form, it had a tension in it. And I experience that tension as that like tangible ache. So courage can and will and nearly always is going to ache. There's going to be an ache in courage, and that's part of why we don't want it. It's uncomfortable courage. It's shaky courage. It makes us do things that feel like they aren't integrated inside us. You know, when we're leaning into courage, we're leaning into what we aren't entirely integrated in often. And I love it. I love courage as a transformational force. It's so simple. It's beautiful. It's so powerful. And in a world that is so full of modalities and philosophies, simply coming back to what is courageous and what does the courageous face of love choose to do, and what does the courageous face of love speak, and how does the courageous face of love move, that just rocks my being. So an invitation today into your courage, the courage of what you do not want but absolutely need. And sometimes that means coming out, stepping forward, moving. And other times courage means being in the stillness, being in the decay process, being in the grief, being in the unmaking. There's different moments in life, and you can nearly always tune into what courage is asking of you, because you're not really going to want it, but you'll fundamentally know in some deep crevice of your being that you absolutely need that thing. You absolutely need to move in that way. It's going to hold a tension, and that tension is going to grow you. And that is the beautiful gift of courage. Thanks for tuning in with me today. If you've enjoyed this little transmission, make sure you subscribe.